What's the difference between careless driving and dangerous driving? It's effectively a matter of degree. By that I mean it depends on the consequences of your driving. If your driving causes injury to a person or damage to property, it's very likely going to be elevated from one of careless driving to one of dangerous driving. So it depends on the consequences. That's pretty much it. Everyone is expected to drive in a manner that will be expected of a competent and careful driver. What careless driving is where your driving falls below the standard of a competent and careful driver. What dangerous driving is where your driving falls far below the standard that will be expected of a competent and careful driver. So it's really a matter of degree or the severity of what happens in the driving that determines the charge you're going to get. What does careless driving include? Well, there's no standard definition of what careless driving is. It's defined in the Act as driving without due care and attention, but they don't really define what that means. In general, what it means is that your driving falls below what would be expected of a competent and careful driver. That's a generalized description of what careless driving is. If your driving falls beneath that standard, it's generally regarded as careless driving. That might include undertaking on the left-hand side, driving inappropriately close to someone in front of you, other words known as tailgating, things of that nature. That's generally what's regarded as careless driving, but it's taken on a case-by-case basis, but it's not defined clearly in law. What's the penalty for careless driving? Well, careless driving carries a potential disqualification of 2 years. It can carry a disqualification of up to 4 years if you've been convicted twice or more of careless driving in the previous 3 years. But if it's your first time coming to court for careless driving, as it is for most people, then the judge has a discretion not to disqualify you. And that discretion then is based on the arguments that your lawyer brings to court on your behalf to persuade the judge not to disqualify you if it's your first time coming to court for careless driving. Careless driving causing death or serious injury, it's an unusual charge. It's not one that's brought very often. It's prosecuted in the circuit court, which is the court above the district court. It's prosecuted in there because serious charges are brought into that court. If you're found guilty of death caused by careless driving or serious bodily harm caused by careless driving, the potential penalties include a term of imprisonment of 2 years and a fine of €10,000 or both.